This is video 18, Advaita Vedanta, non-dual monism as taught by Sri Ramana Maharshi. We are looking at adamance versus stubbornness. When Sri Bhagavan was in the body, people of all sorts visited him. People of all religions, all faiths came to him. Some, the moment they saw him, they lost themselves and they were immersed in the peace that Sri Bhagavan radiated. Some came with the preconceived notions and they argued just in order to understand the truth with some open-mindedness. So Sri Bhagavan patiently explained. Some argued vehemently, even to them with patience, Sri Bhagavan explained the truth. But some were quarrelsome. They came only to fight with him. Sri Bhagavan would just keep quiet. Sometimes they were so noisy and quarrelsome that the devotees had to vacate them. This is the truth. See, everybody is born in a different religion, in different faith, and we do carry our own preconceived notions, our own prejudices. This is how it is, and we are not disputing that. We are not saying anything is right or wrong. If you believe in a particular system, that is quite fine. But if you want to know the absolute truth as it is, if you want to know the Advaitic truth as taught by Sri Ramana Maharshi, you need the intellectual courage and open-mindedness. We should have that courage to look at the Upanishadic truth. Why is it the sages say Tattvamasi? Why is it Sri Bhagavan says you are that? What is the reason behind it? For Sri Bhagavan, it is not intellectual knowledge. He was Brahman itself. He was the absolute truth. He was existence, consciousness, bliss. We should not get carried away by looking at the bodily frame that Bhagavan was wearing for some time. And even after shedding his body, where can Sri Bhagavan go? Where towards the end of his life, his devotees cried, Bhagavan, if you shed the body, if you die, what will we do? Who will be there to guide us? Sri Bhagavan said, you have thought too much of this body. I mean, you have given too much of importance to this body. Am I the body? Are you the body? Where will I go? Where can I go? I'll be here only. That's what he said. And he is where? In you, in me, everywhere, in the stone, in the water, in the animal, in the tree, in the universe. So that is Brahman. That's what Sri Bhagavan was. See, it is okay to have acquired some faiths by default, but adamantly sticking to them and being blind to the absolute truth that you are, that is doing injustice to your own self, isn't it? What is it they are saying? Are they talking about anything else when they are talking about Tattvamasi? You are that thou art? No, they are talking about you, the person who is listening. But the truth is, you are Brahman, minus this individuality, minus this little person, this little ego, this little intellect. Of course, we do use the same intellect to go behind the intellect and realize our true nature. So adamance will not help. Any amount of adamance will not help. I know better. No, you know the truth. There will be nobody to speak to at all, first of all. Speak at all. Only if individuality is there, ego is there, can somebody speak. Can Brahman speak? No. It is avyavaharyam. It doesn't get into transaction at all. It is that which reveals the mind, powers the mind, and itself is non-transactional. It doesn't get into any transaction. It is unborn, undying, immortal, pure existence, pure consciousness, and pure bliss. When it comes to arguing, there was this Kavya Ganta Ganapati Muni, one of the prime disciples of Sri Bhagavan. In fact, it was this Ganapati Muni who gave this Brahmana Swami, which Bhagavan was known as, the title of Ramana Maharshi. He argued once when they went up on a walk to the hill. This Sri Bhagavan himself has described. Kavya Ganta Ganapati Muni argued that what Sri Bhagavan calls the heart, the seat of the self, the birthplace of the ego, what he calls the heart, resides in the brain. Sri Bhagavan said, no. If the heart were to be located in the head, if someone is sitting and sleeping, Bhagavan asked, why does his head bend down like this? And if someone were to be beheaded, if his head were to be removed, then it should mean that all his vasanas are gone. All the memories of his this lifetime and previous lifetimes are gone. Is it so? Bhagavan says, no. Even if someone is beheaded, he would continue to be born again. So he says the brain is not the seat of the heart. In his second death experience, Sri Bhagavan narrated his own experience and said that the heart was 2 inches away from the middle of the chest. Then he said, it is my experience. Later he said, don't look for a particular place in the body, because that which we call the heart is everywhere, inside and outside. It is infinite. So he says, just do the vicharam, do the self-enquiry. Ask, who am I? Where from does this I thought arise? And he says the self will do its job automatically. So encouraging a message. So you can raise questions. You can satisfy your intellectual curiosity. You can raise questions. In fact, you can study the talks book. That one book has answers for all questions, I think. Because I read it, all my questions were answered. Now what is left is just stubbornness, with which I need to do vicharam and realize my true nature. I think that is what is sensible attitude. That is what is open-mindedness. That is what is intelligence. Because the truth Advaita talks about is Tattvamasi, you are Brahman, which is a transcendent state, which is a transcendental reality. We cannot be clinging to our ego and be arguing. What use is it? Is it first of all useful to you, the person who argues? No. If we really want the truth, we have to be absolutely open-minded. Secondly, there are people who have acquired some kind of occult powers, supernatural powers, because of their pranayama, because of their breath control practices. Sri Bhagavan says, you might get some supernatural powers on the way, but he says ignore them. Sri Bhagavan never encouraged occult powers, going after occult powers. He says, first find out who you are, then let us see how it all works. He says the supernatural powers could be there with him also, he said, but he calls it automatic divine action. Once a lady asked, Sri Bhagavan, you are talking so high of this Arunachala mountain in Tiruvannamalai. Don't we have such a mountain in our place in America? Sri Bhagavan just closed his eyes and said, he mentioned a mountain in California. I don't remember the name. So, this is not some supernatural power. Sri Bhagavan calls it automatic divine action. See, once this Kavya Ganta Ganapati Muni, his devotee, was in Chennai in a Lord Subramania temple. He was a devotee of Lord Subramania or Lord Muruga. When he was there, Bhagavan appeared and gave him darshan, vision. Then he came back and asked Sri Bhagavan, how come you came there? He said, what do I know? I was just lying down here and suddenly I saw my body floating and like an aeroplane it was flying. I could see the town below. And I thought to myself, oh, this is how these Siddhas, Siddha Purushas display their powers, I thought. He says very innocently. So he does not say he did it, because Kartrutvam, the concept of doership, I am doing, he says is false, wrong. You are not doing it. It is the higher power, the Atman, the Brahman that is using you as an instrument and doing things. This is the right position to take. That's what Bhagavan advises. He says, don't think you are doing. No, you are not doing at all. You are after all a small cog in the larger system. So, when it comes to this occult powers, he says, when it comes to a jnani, a realized being, since he remains in his essential nature, because he remains in his essential nature, he has permeated all the recesses of the self. And because he has permeated all the recesses of the self, he can call up any force into play whenever and wherever it is necessary, Bhagavan says. So let us not be lured by occult powers. Once you realize that we are one with everything and everyone, who is there to wield power over another? Can my left hand wield power over my right hand? No. Silly it would sound. So the aim should be to be stubborn, to realize our true nature. This Upanishads and Sri Bhagavan, they say the same thing. Tattvamasi. What exists is only that one Brahman, and that's what you are. So don't reduce yourself to this individuality and be adamant is the point. What is the point in sticking to some understanding which was fed into our mind at a young age without our own power of discrimination functioning? When we were too young, everything was fed into our minds. See, there is nothing right or wrong about our faiths. You could belong to this faith, she could belong to another faith, but there is absolute truth. Tattvamasi, that thou art, which is a transcendent state. You need to rise above the ego, the petty differences, in order to realize our true nature to be Atman. People from all walks, all faiths, they came to Sri Bhagavan because he himself was transcendence. He himself was Brahman. He himself was existence, consciousness, bliss. So let us be stubborn, because Sri Bhagavan has indicated in many places, you need the strength of mind to assert that I am Brahman and to do Atma Vicharam, self-enquiry. The weak people cannot attain this truth, say the Upanishads. A person who does not have the strength of mind, no, he cannot realize the truth. Yes, a strong psychological state is needed for us to proceed further on this path of self-enquiry. We need open-mindedness. If we call ourselves intelligent and intellectual, we should maintain that open-mindedness and see what is the truth about me. After all, we are not searching for the truth about others. We are searching for the truth about our own selves. You call I. What is that I? What is the import of that I? That is what Upanishads teach. That is what Sri Bhagavan taught. You are Brahman, unborn, undying, immortal, pure awareness, unmixed with objects, unmixed with the body mind. Let us think about it. Let us be stubborn, and all of us, with Bhagavan's grace, realize our true nature.